Hello everybody and welcome back to part 10 of the Border Corner. I've got a little bit of egg food in the dish here that I'm going to go and give to somebody, but to find out who it is you'll have to stay tuned to the end of the video. Today's video is probably going to be a bit quicker than a lot of the other ones. That's probably music to the ears of quite a lot of you out there that aren't so keen on long videos. But yeah, I'm going to just whip around a little bit, talk about some of what's happened. We've got a good news story, as I've kind of alluded to in the intro, and I have put a short out already, if anybody's seen that kind of gives the game away. But anyway, for those of you that don't know, hang around till the end, as I've said, and you'll see what I was talking about. We'll have a look at some of the other birds, what's going on with some of the other birds in the room, catch up with the fifes, and overall there's not a lot of good news to talk about, so I feel a bit down in the dumps, as you can probably tell. So let's crack on and we'll have a look at the birds and we'll go from there. I don't know what it is with my birds and newspaper. I don't know whether everybody has this experience with their birds, but every single hen that I've put in, is regardless of how much bedding I give, of how much nesting material I provide, they just wreck the floor. I cleaned the cage out, I put the newspaper on the bottom, I buried it so it just wasn't visible, and within no time she'd rooted around, she'd got hold of a bit, and then she decided to keep on, trying to get as much out as she possibly could. So anyway, but there we go, up to her, I guess. Yeah, so allied line. This was what we thought was the white cock. It's actually a white hen. She has built several nests, but she's as yet showing not a lot of sign of wanting to actually lay any eggs, or indeed when I've put the cockbird in with her, there's not a lot of interest between the two of them with regards to mating. He's singing, he's banging the tunes out, but as things stand at the moment, she's building nests regularly, so I keep taking them down. I don't want to end up with her laying without having had the cock cover her. So one of the things I've done this week, I was given a tip about the birds, and that it might help the birds become a little bit stronger if I were to separate them all so they couldn't see the hens. So I broke all the pairs down, and all the cocks and all the hens were in single cages, and immediately the volume and the amount of singing that was going on went up quite significantly. So I've introduced the cock and the hens to each other, backwards and forwards a few times. We haven't had a lot of treading going on, but I don't know if you remember me saying last week, I felt that the birds weren't behaving as if they were in tip-top breeding condition. So I think we're getting a little bit of change there now, and as you can see with this white variegated hen, I hope, hopefully she's not a million miles away. And this is the cockbird that she's going to be with. I quite like him. He's singing ever such a lot. I can get him in focus. He's singing a lot, so I'm hoping that the two of them together, it won't be too long before I can remove the slider and let them in together and see what happens. Also in the allied line is the South Blue hen. So she's been actively bouncing now, backwards and forwards between her perches quite a lot the last sort of 48 hours. Seen a lot of this sort of activity. I took out the solid slider and put a wire slider in this morning to see if there was any interest between her and the cockbird that I want to put her with. this is the cockbird that I'm hoping that, whoops, sorry about that. This is the cockbird that I'm hoping that she'll go with. That's not in focus, is it? I'm sorry about that, I can't get that in focus. I won't try anymore. Yeah, so I'm hoping that after a little while, you know, perhaps another 24, 48 hours, I might be able to let them in and see if we get some successful treading. Overall, I have to say it's been a bit of a disappointing week. I feel a little despondent, to be honest. That's 3 different nests that I've had that have all broken down as all of the nests were clear. That goes with the other half a dozen clears that I already had before this week. And I know I've got another hen that's she's just like a chicken. As soon as she finishes one nest that's clear, you break the nest down, and you know, 24, 48 hours later she's already building. And before I can, you know, I tried to enforce a break on, and then, you know, within 2 days of stopping, and she's laid an egg again. So I don't. That's a self-green hen. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with her. But the hen we're looking at here is a 2021 buff hen that was paired with the 2021 variegated cock that I just showed you. This is another one. This is. I'm just so puzzled. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it must be something I'm doing wrong, because the birds are in a contained environment, aren't they? So the only thing that they get is what we give them. So it must be something I'm doing wrong. But I saw the cock tread her again a good half a dozen, maybe even 8 or 9 times. And he did the stargazing after he trod her. So there was no reason for me to think that, you know, this nest was going to be anything but having a couple of full eggs. I set them on the 20th. It's the 28th today. I've candled the eggs and they're all clear. So that's another nest that's gonna. I'll give her 10 days and I'll take the eggs away, and then it'll be another probably 7 days after that. But it's just a bit demoralising, really. You do everything that you think's right, and you get the birds together, and you know, all they produce is clear eggs. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I know boarders can be very difficult and they're very finicky, and lots of successful breeders, you know, they report problems. So I know it can happen, but it's just, you know, it's very hard to take all the time that this is what's happening. If I move the camera over to this cage, this was the hen. We looked at her last week. She was sitting on a nest of 6 eggs. I'd seen the cock tread her, and that was many times. That was the self-green cock. He trod her probably, I'd witnessed 3 or 4 times, but they had been in the cage together for longer than that. I left her 6 or 7 days, and then I came in on the morning of the 7th day, and she was sat on the perch. Now, when she looks like this, she doesn't actually look as if she's that well. You know, this isn't what you look at this bird and you're not looking at her thinking, yeah, that's a bird that's in good breeding condition, are you? I know some of it's because it's nap time. If I just put the perch in to make a move, she does sit up a little bit, but it's not a picture of a really active bird, is it? So so she walked off a nest of 6, and I didn't have the feed of 5 canaries weren't at the right stage for me to be able to move the eggs to. So I don't know whether they were fertile or not. But that was a nest, another nest that had gone. And then up here, hang on, let me just. So this is another clear hen. She was sitting on 4, sat on them for 10 days. I candled them, all clear again. Now, the reason that she's in a nest at the moment is because it's been 10 days, I think, since I broke her nest down. So I put the nest pan back in, and put some bedding, some nesting material on the floor, just thinking that she might start, investigating and starting to build. And I came in the next morning and there was an egg in the nest. And I just don't know what to do. I don't understand why the hen's doing that. So I know that they have a sequence and they have a cycle, and you have to follow that cycle. If the eggs aren't fertile, then you take the eggs away. So 14 days after they've effectively were due to hatch, you can take the eggs away, and it'll take her another week or 10 days before she starts showing any signs of wanting to lay again. So once you've gone past that 7 to 10 day period, I put the nest pan back in, expecting her to, as I say, to just start investigating it. And then I came in the morning, she was sitting on it like she is now, and she'd laid an egg without a cockbird being near her. So there's no way that's fertile. So that's another one. So this is the variegated buff hen. She was the one that started everything off for us with regards to laying the first egg of the year. Obviously that was on, the nest that she laid was infertile, so nothing came of that. The last probably 3 or 4 days she started to become a bit more active. So I introduced the variegated yellow cockbird, and he's been treading her religiously. As soon as I open the slider, he's gone straight in and trod her. So here we go as an example. I just wanted to show you a clip of that happening here, and he goes straight in and he treads her. So this has happened. He does this 2 or 3 times a day, and he's been doing it for the last 3 or 4 days. So as he's doing his stargazing trick, I'd be really disappointed if this was another clear nest. But she's laid her first egg this morning, so we're up and running with this pair, and we'll see what happens. The next one, this is the South Green hen. I don't know if you remember, she laid 5 eggs, and I moved the 5 eggs to go under the fife. I moved the 5 eggs up to hers, with the idea being that the fife would act as a feeder and would sit on her eggs and hatch them for me. Unfortunately, after 10 days I candled them and they're all clear. So what I decided to do is to move the fife's eggs back, swap them around again, and put the borders clear eggs back under her. So even though they're clear, she's got to have her minimum sit time. So I'm just going to let her do that. It's nice to see that even as a last year's bird, she seems to be quite good with regards to sitting. She sits very tight, so that's encouraging. So I'll be breaking her nest down in the next week, and then we'll be starting again with her. But then that brings us to the fife canaries, and this is the hen that has got her own eggs back under her. So she's sitting on 4 eggs now, and I've candled them obviously when I moved them back, and all 4 of them are full. So they're due on the 2nd of May, so we've only got a couple of days to go on them, and they'll be hatching. So I'll let those go, and then over to the other pair of fifes. These guys, I set these eggs on the 24th, and they're going to be due on the 8th of May, so a bit longer on these. I don't know whether I'm going to let these go. I'll probably let these 2 nests from both these pairs of fifes go, so that we've got some youngsters in the room. But I'm not going to breed any more after that. So what I'll do is I'll set them up to go to nest again after they've raised these chicks that hopefully that they're going to produce for me. But then once I've done that, if they lay any more, if I've got no borders ready to take them, then I'll be breaking those nests down. So borders are my birds. I don't want to have lots of fifes, but they are cute little birds. One thing I've noticed is the amount of singing that the cockbirds do, and I think when the fife cockbird starts singing, that starts making the boarders start singing, so they're helping with that as well. So I had the yellow feathered hen. She was a nice bird, and I brought her in because I don't know if you remember, we talked last week about the bird that I thought was a buff cockbird, this one, and now I'm pretty confident that's actually a hen. I've put a cock in the cage with her, and the cockbird immediately started displaying and trying to mate her, but she wasn't having any of it. She's obviously not ready yet. So, but I brought her in because, I brought this bird in, this yellow hen in, because I thought I had a buff cockbird, and I didn't. So I was thinking, well, this is great. I've got a bird here that I can't do anything with. And then another bird that I had in the bird room was a bird that I thought was a buff hen, and that's this one. So I was fairly convinced that this was a buff hen, just the way it behaved. I bought it last year as a hen because, as you know, that I didn't have many hens, so I needed to try and increase the number that I had. So I brought her in. Beginning of this week, she started singing and really belting the sounds out. So shown no interest in nesting at all. So I'm fairly convinced that this is a buff cockbird. So I thought, well, I'll try putting him in with the yellow hen, and I was thinking that this is a bit of a bonus pairing. So I did everything that you do, put the slider in, let them introduce themselves slowly through the gap. The having him in a separate cage definitely made a difference because he was singing quite a lot more than he had been when I had the slider in between him and the hen. So that's what the plan was. And then I came in this morning and she was sitting on here really tight. And when I looked, she's laid an egg. So there's no way that egg's fertile because they haven't been together without me in the room watching them. So I know he hasn't trod her. And yet when I did let him in with her, all they did was fight. So again, I'm a bit perplexed. I don't understand why, if you've got, this compatibility issue, because I don't have a huge number of birds. I've only got him as being he's the only buff cockbird that I've got in the room. So if he's not gelling with the hen, there's not a lot I can do about it. But it's really demoralising. So that's another round now. So I've got to let this yellow hen now. I'm going to have to let her go through her egg laying routine, and then 14 days of incubation, and then give her a fallow period and start again. So nothing's going to happen with that one. So here we go. Cage 42, save the best bit of good news until the end of the video. I'm pleased to say that we've got our first chick in the border corner. It's been a bit frustrating, to be honest. You remember last week when I showed you the hen, she was sitting on 4 eggs and I thought 3 of them were full. A couple of days before hatch day, I thought I'd just candle them just one last time just to make sure she was off the nest feeding. And when I put the light against one egg, I could see that it was full. And then as I moved my hand across to look at another egg, I flicked it with my finger and it was really, really light. So I picked the egg up and looked at it, and she punctured it, there was a hole in it. And you could see the egg was full, so it was really frustrating. It was all dry, and I don't know when she'd done it. She'd obviously done it a few days before. Anyway, as I moved my hand to take my hand out of the nest, I touched another egg that also wobbled and was extremely light. And when I looked at that, she'd punctured that as well. So she was sitting on a nest of 4 eggs. I was really confident 2 were full. I was hopeful that 3 were. And there we go. And she's gone and punctured 2 of the eggs. So we've got 1 chicken in the nest. So, and here she is now. So here we have the only chick so far that we've had hatched this year in the border corner. It's a single chick. She was in with the buff variegated hen. The father is a clear cock. Yesterday morning when I came into the bird room, this little chick was laying dead appeared to be dead on the floor of the cage in classic spatchcock chicken fashion, legs and wings both wide, and I thought I'd had it. I thought that was my first chick this year, and I thought it had copped it straight away. But I picked it up, I cupped it in my hands, and for about 10 minutes I just sat and blew warm air on it gently in my hands, and eventually I got to feel it wriggling. And then after another few minutes longer, I'd seen the hen have some egg food, and then she went back to the nest, so I slipped it back under. So I've come out this morning and I'm pleased to say it's still alive. The chances of this one surviving is going to be remote. I know it's difficult when you've only got one chick. It's always difficult when you've only got one chick. But we'll see how we get on. I'm going to do my best to keep it because it's the first one of the year. I'm a bit of a sentimentalist like that. I know there's a lot of breeders that perhaps would even dispatch a chick if it's on its own. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do everything that I can to try and keep it alive. Unless obviously I come out tomorrow morning and it's dead on the floor and I can't revive it. But yeah, so there we go. So I'm going to move away now and let the hen get back on. I'm sorry this has been a bit of a negative video this week. It's been disappointing. Folks have told me that boarders can be hard work. That they're not as easy to breed by any stretch compared to a lot of the other canaries. And I think I've seen evidence of that. Starting to see evidence of that now. We might have the one chick that we looked at. That's obviously good news. But I've got 9 hens in here. So 9 hens and only have one chick. And then only have one other nest that you're fairly confident might be, that they might lay full eggs. But hey ho, I'll keep plodding on, and we'll see what we can do in the next few weeks. Keep on liking, subscribing. It's great the fact that I get some really good positive comments that encourages me to keep on filming and make the videos. So keep doing that. It's amazing how many views I'm getting of the channel, but folks aren't subscribing. So it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Just clicking that button. So have a go. Click the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.